Rounding out this qualifier, spawning in the top left position of Belshir Vestige is going to be our yellow Protoss player, Bischu. And spawning in the bottom right position as the blue Protoss player, you may have known him as MVP Finale, he is now Duckdeok.
Yep, switched his name, as did a lot of Korean pro gamers. I remember seeing that thread on Reddit or on Team Liquid where they announced their names, what they used to be and what they're switching to. I believe someone switched to like Swagger, didn't they? Like
yes, my favorite. MVP Swagger. That was. It's always fun to cast that. Yeah, it's actually just in one of those Team League matches just the other day that I was able to cast, and it's so hard to cast someone's name with Swagger with a straight face, I gotta say, but so you're the residential Protoss expert here. What are we gonna see? What's good on this map? What's not good as far as Protoss versus Protoss?
Well, it's very rare to see a blink-centered builds on this map. Both guys opening with gas before for cybernetics core, so we're probably going to see both of them put 2 workers in that and work their way up in that terms. That's different from what we used to see in Wings of Liberty, of course, because 2 workers. Actually, Bischu putting in. There he goes. He put in 3 workers for a second. I was like, nah, please let me be right and let them put 2 workers in each gas. But yeah, they're doing that. Bischu 4 workers on gas, and his opponent is also going with 4 workers on gas. And that's really because of the mothership core that costs 100 gas, and you want to get that a little bit earlier than you want to get that in Heart of the Swarm, and you didn't have to get that in Wings of Liberty. So having that extra worker mine gas is going to enable you to get that mothership core out nice and early.
Yeah, definitely. That it also gives some really good aggressive opportunities. We've seen quite a few games. Just thinking about at least like pro league matches. 3 Stalker Rush with the mothership core is just that much stronger. We saw quite a few interesting games so far involving these Protoss timings of mothership cores, and well, Sentry opening for Bischu.
Cancel his Zealot.
Interesting. Do you think there's something that he may have just made a flash decision, or he wasn't really intending to get a Zealot unless a probe came into his base?
Yeah,
or was
I think
it just like
that.
In case he got 2 gated or something?
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say, Nathaniel. Whoa, Bischu.
Wow.
Getting a Nexus already. Wow, he noticed that he didn't get scouted by Duckdeok, and he was like, okay, well, if you don't scout me, I'm going to play a greedy build. I'm going to build a Nexus. So Duckdeok has no idea that the Nexus is already down, but he's doing the same thing. Wow, both players going to be playing a very economic-centered opening here without really scouting. I mean, Bischu also with a super late scout.
Yeah, this is really unusual. The fact that both players are going for these Sentry expands. Typically speaking, you'd have one guy going for that blink play like you mentioned, or a Robo or Stargate, and then the guy that expands has to defend his expansion with his life, and then barely hold on, and then the game can kind of be even if the one player doesn't get as fast a build. But now that both of them are just kind of expanding, it's kind of like, I could be aggressive, but the fact that we're both doing this is just going to cause everything to normalize. So this game isn't really technically going to start until they're both on 2 bases. What are good follow-ups for this? Both of them are adding on 2 gateways. Do you go robotics facility off of 2 bases? Do you go for a Stargate, or like what's a standard follow-up for this kind of fast expand from a Protoss into PvP?
We're venturing into the unknown right now. Both players are going to go into a Robo, so it seems like traditional Colossi play is going to be what they are aiming for. But you're right. We could discuss this and try to discuss it a little bit, but it's such an uncommon thing to see both players going for a blind Nexus. I mean, what if one of them would be 4 gating or 3 gating or putting on a lot of pressure with their mothership core? That would make for such a difficult situation.
Yeah, I got to admit that's true. We actually have a lot of chrono base being put on the warp gate, and it looks like Bischu wants to go for some quick 2-base pressure. He does have a good number of units outside there. If he force builds these units and catches them, this is absolutely huge. The sentries are going to die for Duckdeok, and Bischu getting a very nice score early on. The mothership core can use photon overcharge to help defend, but at this point, there's nothing stopping him from just walking by the scores. He will retreat, however. Doesn't want to commit too much here, but a great score, killing 2 sentries this early in the game.
Big deal. Big deal, Nathaniel. You're right. That's really all that he hoped to do there, and he forced the photon overcharge to be used out of the mothership core, and all that Bischu now has to do is just keep on continuously warping in units, and he will always have more stuff than his opponent. There goes the time warp. Might be able to pick off a Zealot here. Is he going to get a second one? Yes, but he's committing deep into the photon overcharge. Does lose a little bit of shields. Might end up losing his mothership core, but he just in time uses another time warp. But now his mothership core is down. That's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, continuing to press forward here. He is going to snipe off Duckdeok's mothership. Actually, he's going to he's like changing which way he was targeting, but the probes have to be pulled for Duckdeok. His photon overcharge has worn off, and now Bischu looking so strong. One more warp in wave could help turn things here. In terms of supply, Duckdeok is barely ahead, but Duckdeok's also up in workers, so it doesn't really mean anything in terms of the army supply. Yeah, an Immortal is now just finishing for Duckdeok. He's still losing a good number to these force fields, but this Immortal should be able to help shove these units off as long as he doesn't lose too much more, and some great force fields from Duckdeok. Going to be able to pinch off a couple of these Stalkers, but it looks like Bischu wants to target that down anyway. He's going for blood. I think this might be a little bit of an overextension. He is going to lose majority of his forces here, and Bischu throwing away what was a really nice position trying to get that Immortal.
Yeah, that Immortal, he felt like he had to get that. He would not be able to break his opponent if that Immortal stayed alive, and now Bischu is down about 20 supply. He knows it, he knows he's in trouble, and he's trying to go back home, but his pro production was on stop. He was on a full stop while he was executing that 3 to 4 gate aggression out of 2 bases, and now he realizes, oh, this is not going to work. I have to go back and macro my way out of this somehow, but being down 9 workers in a PvP, being down 2 Immortals, not having a Robo out on the field yet because he cancelled that in favor of more units, it's so difficult. It is an impossible position almost for Bischu.
Yeah, and he went for the really aggressive play. He's up that 1 game. He really wants to get in and qualify for the Challenger division, but Duckdeok not going to be so easily assuaged, and now taking out that mothership core, he is going to be able to press forward. There is no Nexus Cannon available, and Bischu overcommitting a little bit. He's going to add on 2 more warp gates to try to get the units out he needs to defend. We'll be able to force field off one of these Immortals, which is very nice. The other Immortal still has very low health, but those hardened shields just look like it might be too much. Duckdeok almost doubling the supply now of our yellow Protoss player, and I am not sure that Bischu is going to be able to hold on here.
Nope, Bischu is down and out the Immortal. He's like, meh, I'll let the Stalkers handle this, I'll kill the Nexus, and now he's going to be joining in the fight again, and of course that's going to be the nail in the coffin. Bischu GG's out, and Duckdeok ties up the series